Hi everyone, in this video we are going to do a full day wear test, application, and review of The Ordinary's brand new concealer. I know a lot of you are excited about this and want to see if this is as good as it claims to be at the price point that it's at. So I will show you all of those things in this video, and I will check in at the end of the day to let you know how it wears and give you my full thoughts on the quality of the formula. Thank you so much for subscribing and following Allura Beauty on Instagram. If you haven't checked out the latest video, that was for Milani's new line of supercharged lip and cheek sticks. And I swatched these for you. I applied them to the lips and I applied them to the cheeks so that you can see them. I'm actually wearing one of them in this video on my cheeks and on my lips, the same color 130 Spice Jolt. So if you want to see the rest of the shades applied, then that is the video that I'll link in the upper right hand corner in the eye. My sweater here is from Amazon, so I will also link that in the description box, and my nail color, if you want to check that out, is also going to be linked for you in the description box. This concealer is available only on The Ordinary's website. Unfortunately, with The Ordinary's cosmetic products, as opposed to its skincare products, which are available at other retailers like Sephora, cosmetic products by The Ordinary are pretty difficult to find. So I think that the only place that this is being sold is The Ordinary's own website. There may be one other retailer that it comes out to be sold through, but I think right now it's just their website. This does come in a healthy range of shades. I think it's something like 36 shades. And if you look at them, they are very evenly dispersed in terms of the shades in the fair category: light, medium, tan, and dark. And this baby costs only $5.80. That's incredible. You do only get 0.3 fluid ounces, 8 milliliters, but it's plenty of product to last you for a very long time. The shade that I will be testing out for this video and that I purchased is 1.2Y, light with yellow undertones, which I think is a decent match for me. I probably could have gone with a bit deeper, but that's fine. This shade will work just fine for me. It comes in an opaque, squeezy plastic tube with a kind of narrower dispenser there. And the only part that's not opaque is this thin strip where you can kind of see the shade inside. Let's look at what The Ordinary claims this concealer will do for you, and we will test the claims while we are applying it and wearing it throughout the day. They say this is a high spreadability suspension system that offers very high coverage with a real skin finish. This formula allows high pigments to look natural on the skin and resist collecting in fine lines. Sounds exactly like what I look for in a good concealer, especially in the under eye area, so hopefully those claims are true. I tend to trust The Ordinary when it comes to ingredients because of their skincare line, but I always still look at the ingredients list, so let's go ahead and do that too. In taking a look, I noticed that there's a lot of dimethicone type ingredients in here, and I honestly don't notice anything that jumps out to me as being bad for the skin. Things like drying alcohols or fragrances, which I wouldn't expect with The Ordinary anyway. And by the same token, I also don't see any skin beneficial ingredients really in this ingredients list either. So this does seem to be predominantly or purely cosmetic. Okay, next step is we're going to apply this to the face together, not only in the under eyes, but other parts of the face too. I have applied just my regular skincare that includes toner, moisturizers, and a sunscreen. Today I'm wearing a chemical sunscreen and it does have a bit of shine to it. I don't plan on wearing much makeup other than the concealer. I'll probably powder it on top, but we'll go ahead and primarily I'm going to use this for the under eyes, although I do have some blemishes like this one that we will get to test this out on. I'm going to use my fingers for the under eye area. I'm going to start with just that bit of amount, warm it up between my fingers. Dab it under the eye. We'll start with one eye and then you can compare. I hope I'm in focus here. Oh, I can't believe how good of a shade match I got. Taking the product that was on my other finger too and applying that on top. Okay, so that's kind of one coat applied there under the eyes. Usually I do have to do one coat and then right in this inner corner here where it's even deeper colored, I layer it, but there's one layer and then nothing applied. Here's closer up. I wouldn't say that I feel like this is the most full coverage, but I will say it blends really nicely into the under eye area. Many times I have results with concealers that may otherwise work well on the other parts of the face, but it looks patchy or creepy underneath the eye area. So it really blends seamlessly into the skin, at least at this point. Take another little bit on there and try to focus it really on this inner corner. It layers very nicely too. Taking another little bit. Okay, so there is the eye kind of finished. I'm gonna stop there compared to no concealer there. I'm gonna go ahead and do the other side off camera. Okay, I'm coming back in because I did get a little bit of texture on this side when I applied. Hopefully you can see kind of in this area, that bit of patchiness there. It turned out a lot more patchy on this side. I'm gonna apply, that was just my first coat. I'm gonna go back and do this inner corner here, see if we worsen the patchiness or decrease it. Seems okay in the exact under eye area, but closer to this orbital bone down here, you still get a little bit of patchiness. And I do really feel like it's medium-ish coverage. Maybe once you layer it, kind of medium coverage, but I feel like initially it's on the lighter side in terms of coverage. But there's both eyes done. And then you see this blemish that I have on the side of my nose. Let's go ahead and cover that up. Let's use a brush this time. Maybe a concealer, flat concealer brush with synthetic bristles like this. Just take a little bit on the end there. Apply it with the side that I put the product on. And then use the other side of the brush to kind of blend it out. Of course, you could use your fingers, but I'm just trying to use different methods to test out the product. Go back and forth on the sides of the brush. Okay, so that's what it looks like. I wouldn't say the most seamless in texture, but obviously that also is by nature of whatever blemish you have. So this one is kind of a raised blemish. So here it is up close. Let's see how much it layers. And this time I'm going to use a little finger dabbing there. Yeah, you can still see that texture is kind of emphasized a little bit. But then I also have this blemish. Just this morning I had a couple blemishes, so it's perfect for testing this out. This one on the side of my lip there. This one's a little more flat. We'll see if there's less texture. You can see it's not really full coverage there, but not as much texture created on that slightly flatter blemish than on this one. Maybe we'll try concealing something that's completely flat. I have sunspots on my chin from sun exposure, so let's cover one of those up, and there's one kind of right in the middle right here. All right, so yeah, same thoughts, just not complete full coverage, but definitely reduces the visibility of that. All right, I'm gonna powder my face with translucent powder and I'll be right back. Okay, very simple makeup day today because I will be wearing a mask. I wanted to note I set the face with this Essence All About Matte Fixing Powder, which I use often The powder, I avoid the under eye area. I don't really powder the under eye area, but I'll note that this blemish on my lip here, the powder, and I don't really press or dig, I just lightly tap with a kabuki brush like this. The concealer on top of this lip blemish near my mustache area, that concealer seemed to lift off pretty easily, but on this nose area, it seemed to adhere quite well, and same with the chin. So I just wanted to note that for you. So you can see here that it kind of came off without much, I don't know, without doing very much to it, but on the side of the nose, it's stayed pretty well. And there is still that kind of textured border here around the eyes. So I'm gonna go throughout the day. Like I said, I will be wearing a mask, taking it on and off throughout the day, and we'll come back. I'll see how this wears throughout the day, whether it seems to fade significantly, perhaps how well, you know, I have to take into account the friction that's possible with a mask, especially when it comes to the stuff on my chin, around the lip, and maybe even around the nose, depending on how my mask sits. But predominantly on the under eye area, let's see how this wears at the end of the day. I'll check back in with you then. So this is in the middle of editing me jumping into this video, because what I noticed when I was editing the footage was it was so much starker on camera, the borderline where the concealer kind of ended. And even the blemish that I covered on my nose, like you could see this kind of ring around there. And honestly and truly, that's not something that I noticed in the mirror when I looked just, you know, with my own eyes, or throughout the day when I was checking in on how the concealer looked. But it distracted me so much on the footage. So I don't know if that is a result of the difference between the shade of the concealer and my actual skin. That might be one thing. Or the fact that I literally didn't have any other makeup on my skin, and therefore the blend between, you know, putting makeup in certain places and then just having bare skin in other places, if that was it. Or if it's something, a flaw with the formulation of the concealer, at least on my skin. So what I'm gonna do, because I wanna be really thorough, I'm going to go ahead and apply foundation like I would do on an actual full makeup day, or at least, you know, putting more than just eye makeup on and concealer on. I'm gonna apply foundation. This is one foundation that I wear very often. It's by Revlon, their Color Stay Whipped foundation. Gonna apply that the way I normally would with a kabuki brush like this, and then I'm gonna apply the concealer. And I'll tell you if we'll see together if there's that, you know, very stark border there. Okay, foundation is applied. Now obviously this will affect the level of coverage that appears, or I expect it to, because I already have a level of coverage. So the purpose of this is to figure out that border, that weird border thing that was happening, not to determine the level of coverage. So back again, under the eyes. Okay, so this time I used only my fingers, applied under the eyes, and these two blemishes. I didn't bother doing it under my chin. I still feel like I have the same comments about it not being completely covering these, more of a medium level. I feel like it still looks nice under the eyes, but you tell me, because I'm not reviewing the footage yet. When I look in the viewfinder, just like before, I didn't really notice that stark border, but then when I edited the footage, I was like, what, that looks so weird. You tell me in the comments if you see that issue with the border. I truly don't see it in the mirror or in the viewfinder, but in the mirror at like full size. And I just use the magnifying side, and it looks okay. Like the borderline between where the concealer ends and then the rest of the face starts, I don't see that starkness. So hopefully that's something to note. Just if you are someone who does a completely like minimal makeup day where you just do, you know, spot concealing, you don't do a full face of foundation, just note that you know, I guess in some situations it may look a little strange if you can see a stark border. And it wasn't an issue of blending. I like spent a lot of time blending it in. And I have a lot of days, especially during COVID, where I will just wear concealer underneath the eyes and then maybe some mascara and really nothing else. So I'm gonna jump back to the outro that I filmed just a little while ago. And my thoughts are pretty much the same, but just note that that this strange issue is something that I wanted to bring up and kind of test to see if that can be mitigated with more full-face makeup use. All right, we are at the end of the day. It's been over 9 hours of wearing this. It's so cold. And remember that I have been taking my mask on and off. So in terms of evaluating longevity, we have to consider that this part of the face has kind of been rubbed a lot more than the rest of the face. So I'll show you some up close shots. Not really surprised that this one near the lip has, that concealer has pretty much all gone away. But this one on the nose still has some concealer on there, despite having a mask that does cover this area come on and off. The main thing is underneath the eyes. The concealer has worn really nicely. There's a little bit of texture that has developed, and I would say also probably a little bit of fading of the coverage, which you might be able to tell. That texture is definitely still there, and actually on this side in the middle of the day kind of developed too. But aside from that, I think the major thing about this concealer is that the claim that it's skin-like I think is very true. With the exception of places where you have something that's raised, you know, a concealer, no matter how good or bad, is not going to be able to eliminate the appearance of any texture that's already there. But especially when applying under the eyes, and I noticed in looking throughout the day, it does look extremely skin-like and seamless with the skin. So I think that's the best part about this concealer, followed very closely by or tied by the extreme affordability of this. I mean, at less than $6, you really, it would have to be bad in order for you to really not be interested in testing it out, trying it out, or investing in it. I think really the only bad thing about this concealer and negative is I don't agree with the claim that it's full coverage. I really just don't think that that's true. Even with layering, I don't see anyone really getting full coverage with this formulation. So those are my thoughts, and that's my experience with the new Ordinary concealer. I definitely don't regret investing my $6 in purchasing this and trying this out. So please let me know what you think. If you have purchased this and if you have been testing it, what have your experiences been? And we'll get to share them with other people in case you may have a different type of skin tone or other issues that you're trying to cover. Thank you so much for watching the video as always. If you liked it and if you have a few seconds, please give the video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one.